it is that time of the year when we need to pay taxes. First of all, you have to pay taxes if you work in the United States by law, even if you work on cash or off the books. But I'm not going to give you a lesson in morality. What I do want to say is that a lot of people don't understand that for the purposes of immigration law, um, taxes play a big role. They can act as joint documents when you're applying for marriage. A lot of judges in the immigration court, especially older judges, want to see that if a person has been here for a long time and has obviously worked, that they have paid taxes. And the judges have in the past required our clients to even go back and pay taxes. And show them proof that things have been filed for the years when they have said they worked and didn't file. Just because you're undocumented doesn't mean you don't have to pay taxes. Just because you don't have a social security number doesn't mean you don't have to pay taxes. You have to go and speak to a qualified accountant. And please, just like when you're picking out an attorney, it is important to speak to somebody who understands what they're doing, who won't hesitate to call me and ask me, oh, this person says he's your client and I'm working with them on their taxes. We see a lot of times then people will go and an accountant or tax preparer will do things that then adversely will affect their case. It is very important issue. Off the books, on the books, there is no presumption that you're entitled to get money back. There is no presumption that you get to file how it is convenient for you. I will tell you this. We have had clients who had several kids, lived in New York City, and their taxes showed a very small amount of income. And the judge said, I don't believe that you can survive in New York City on this amount. You say you don't get any public assistance. You say you live in this area. You say you have a job. So I don't believe that this is the correct amount. So I'm giving you right now a choice. You're either going to go back and amend your taxes, or I'm going to hold it against you. And the person did go back. They did amend. We don't file taxes, so I don't know. Taxes are hugely important when showing that two people are actually married. When you are filing separately and both are filing as head of households, and then we go to the immigration and we say they're a married couple, the officer can very reasonably say, how is a married couple filing separately, both as house of households, and sometimes even at the same address? So the officers do see these cases a lot, and a lot of people do that. So just because you think that, oh, I'll squeeze through because I have a cousin of an aunt who kind of squeezed through, it doesn't work that way. Some people may fly under the radar, but is it really worth risking your entire future over like one filed income tax? I'm not going to answer that question. I just want you to ponder and to make smart decisions, just like you make smart decisions when you buy a house, when you find a job, when you find a lawyer. It is just as important to find somebody who's a good accountant, and I will get you the most amount of money back, not necessarily the only qualifier of a professional tax preparer or accountant. Okay, that is it. That was the end of my lecture on taxes. I will have another lecture next year. What do I want to talk about in terms of immigration? The Biden administration seems to be continuing its march to relax, not relax, to make immigration more accessible to people. And we did see a big increase in people who have spoken to us during the previous administration, but were hesitant. People were understandably afraid. People felt like they can put themselves in harm's way, even if when there was no harm, and they could perfectly reasonably go forward with their application. I understand why the rhetoric coming out of the White House in the last 4 years scared people. I did talk a few weeks ago about prosecutorial discretion. I touched on it. And I did talk about enforcement priorities. The enforcement priorities is when ICE having had a very small, not very small, but having had a limited amount of funds, will allocate those funds to be able to remove people from United States. Not everybody who they encounter, but with a certain priority. And if you have been watching me, you will remember that the priority is the following. They want to get people out who will cause, in their eyes, the most amount of damage, or who will put the American society at the most amount of harm, or highest possibility of harm. For example, terrorists, people with known gang affiliations, human traffickers, drug traffickers, bad guys and girls. We don't discriminate. And then, of course, people who have been caught very near to the border, they're always a priority, because the further you get inland and the longer you stay here, the more ties you have with the United States, and the harder it is to make a case that you sort of don't belong here. So those are the priorities. I want to touch on what's called the prosecutorial discretion, also known as PD. It was a tool that was used widely during the Obama administration. And what does it do? When you go to immigration court and you are in removal proceedings, there are other types. There's exclusion, deportation, but commonly known as the removal proceedings. You are in front of an immigration judge, and a document known as NTA, Notice to Appear, has been issued. On that document, the government will allege certain things. The first things are factual. This is your name, this is where you're from, this is how you entered. And then they will allege, or they will state the reasons why they think you are removable or need to be removed from the United States. And there is a multitude of things. We're not going to get into it. The most common is that you're present in the United States without having an authorization to be present here. In simple words, that you're either an overstay or you're an undocumented person here in the US, and you are not actually authorized to stay there. So I will do a separate video on what removal proceedings are and different things about it. But what I want to say is, when you're in front of an immigration judge, you will get then, as a defense to being removed from the United States, you get to apply for something. Asylum is a big example of that. You can apply for adjustment of status based on marriage to United States citizens. There's all these like cancellations and CATs and withholdings and all these claims. Sometimes, and this was very prevalent during the Obama administration, a person will not have either strong enough asylum claim, or a person will have a child who will be able to sponsor them sometime in the future, but who's not 21 years old yet. Or the person will not want to go forward with whatever their relief is, or there are barriers, time barriers to it, such as waiting period for a visa to be available. Or there were issues with the asylum or the entry, multitude of issues. a very well-known tool during the Obama administration was called prosecutorial discretion. It is not something that is decided by the judge. It is actually an application that you make to DHS, to a subsection of the Department of Homeland Security, basically to the people who want to remove you or who are filing these documents to have you removed from the United States. So, prosecutorial discretion asks the US government to not remove you from United States, to allow you to stay and for you to have a work authorization and to basically not take an action in your case. It kind of has an effect of freezing the removal proceedings in time. They're not terminated. You don't get a green card. You don't travel. What you do is you go down in the priorities of the enforcement and removal. So the governments will look at you and they will consider things like how long you've been here, whether you're a person of good moral character, your criminal history, if you've had any arrests, what kind of arrests, how they were disposed, your taxes, your kids, whether you have a job. There was a whole list of things that the government would consider, and if in their discretion you warranted this relief, they would agree to it. So they would grant you prosecutorial discretion, and your case would, in effect, just be frozen in time. You could continue getting your work authorization, but you don't get any other benefits. Not moving forward with your green card. You're not changing anything. You're frozen. You're frozen, and if anything changes in your circumstances, for example, you get convicted of a crime and this is brought up to the attention of the Department of Homeland Security, they can then go back to the judge and say, like, we're withdrawing our prosecutorial discretion. This person no longer meets our requirements, so we're going to go and move forward with the removal. Or on the other spectrum of that, your child turned 21 years old and he is a US born citizen and you entered with a visa, and now the child can actually petition for you to obtain a green card. This is simplifying it very much, but in a broader sense, you can then go to the judge and say, well, judge, I now have this relief. I would like to proceed. And the judge will, again, in the very understandable, broad sense of things, unfreeze your case and allow you to proceed forward. That is the simplest explanation of what prosecutorial discretion is, and it looks like we are almost there. I strongly encourage you to talk to your attorneys honestly. You have to understand that not every case is winnable, and sometimes it could be even a strategic decision to maybe not move forward with something right now, awaiting a better opportunity. Or, for example, if you have an asylum case and it is good, not great, and your judge is, yes. So maybe it could be a more of a strategic decision. Sometimes you entered without inspection and your only way moving forward is to go through consular processing, getting the waiver and going back home and coming back with a immigrant visa, and you're not ready because your kids are small, you can't leave them, you're afraid, you're going through trauma, things happen in life. It could be a better solution for you that you think, I will do this, I just need more time to mentally prepare, or for my kids to get older. So there are a multitude of different scenarios when this is appropriate, and I always say it to all my clients and people who come into my office: do not go down the rabbit hole of Google. Don't compare your case to anybody else, because one date, one circumstance, one variance in your case makes it different from everybody else. It makes it different. Just because somebody got through or did something and you think, or it appears to you that their case was identical to yours, I can almost always assure you that there's something that is different that makes your case your own and unique. That the people that you speak to, if a person is an attorney, they will have um, they will have their certificates. They will be admitted to a bunch of courts. You can look them up online. It's a good sign when an attorney has a good website and they're present on various platforms. They're not in hiding, so to speak. And, it's always good when an attorney and their office are accessible by text message, by emails, by phone calls and stuff. It doesn't mean that an attorney is going to return your phone call within that second, because that's not always possible. But just accessibility and the display of certificates and reviews and all those things, they do matter, and they don't guarantee an outcome. That they show that a person will try and do the best that they can for you. Yes, I think this is all I wanted to guys talk to you today about. It's a lot of information, I get it. Send me your emails if you want me to clarify anything. I can even take like a little subsection and just talk about it. I could talk about immigration for hours. That's what I do. That's what I love. Send me things that are interesting to you. Send us a Facebook message saying, well, this has come up and I would like to know more about it. And I will gladly answer it for you. I think that's it. I hope everybody's having a beautiful spring. It is a drastic change from April of 2020, when we were all stuck at home baking bread, making our own pizzas, and going down the rabbit hole of Netflix. People are out and about. A lot of our clients are getting immunizations. So I'm very happy about that. Some people are going through it naturally. They're getting sick. And for those, recovering, I'm always glad to hear that everybody is okay. I always ask you guys to please not disappear. If something happened, have somebody send us a text message. Sometimes an interview notice will come and it will coincide when you may be ill or on vacation or just taking a few days without a phone. But we want to know what's going on with you. We want to make sure that we're keeping open lines of communication. Sometimes you'll wait for something for 2 years, and the time that you decide to be off the grid for a little bit is the time when we get the news in your case, right? So I was glad to see everybody. I will see everybody next Thursday. I don't know what I'll talk about, but I'm sure I will talk about something. Everybody enjoy the rest of your week. Enjoy the weather. Enjoy the fact that we are recovering, that we can see our friends and family for the most part again. And I will see you guys next Thursday at 10 a.m. Bye.